You're about to witness an extremely intense max effort overhead pressing session, followed by a spooky push day as Halloween tradition requires. Pencil necks, leave the video now, or you might inherit some unwanted girth and some undesired yoke.
Push.
This is raw powerlifting.
Raw powerlifting.
Let's go. That's it.
Training for equipped powerlifting with those wires. Up. Push through.
So the first exercise I did after maxing out was preacher curls, and I kind of cut my head off in this video, but they're an amazing arm builder. I did 3 sets of these, and because you're so stable on the pad, you just get grinders at the end. But I feel like all arm exercises I do, I end up getting grinders at the end. So I think if you don't have just super slow, hard reps at the end, you're probably not training arms as hard as you could be. I've heard people say this exercise could be dangerous because you're very opened up and lengthened at the bottom, but if you start light, I'm going pretty heavy here. I think that's, the bar is 18, so this is 93 pounds, and I did it for 8, then 7, then 6, which is like my preferred rep range on this lift. And people say it's dangerous, but if you start light and make sure you go down all the way when you go light, then when you go heavy, you're already going to be used to it if you progress up to it slowly. But you'll see at the end, like this rep here is super slow, and that's not even the slowest rep I had. The third set, I have the grindiest rep, I think, of the whole session. So I'm just going to let this set play out. And I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. I look like I'm about to explode. It was an insane rep. The third set's always the hardest on these. Next, I did cambered bar bench press, which I feel so blessed that my college gym has a cambered bar. When I started this movement, I started it at like 175 for 6. and I worked all the way up to 195 for 8. And in this video, I do 195 for 7. This is a little before I hit my peak on it. And it single-handedly took my bench from essentially 245 all the way to 275. It's a really good chest developer, especially if you pause at the bottom and don't arch excessively. And I think I went for the 8th here, but I failed. I really thought I could do it. And since we maxed OHP before this, I knew that maybe like next time I would be able to get 8. But I dropped the weight because I like to do this on presses a lot. Have a heavier top set and then a slightly lighter drop sets so I can just feel out the movement, get more reps, get more touches. But this movement is super good. And I had been spamming flat bench for basically the first 8 months of lifting. I went to Japan for a study abroad, came back. The only thing that hadn't gone up, because I worked out in Japan, was my bench. So I was like, something has to change. So I started actually doing different exercises. I picked something I was terrible at, camber bar bench, and got really good at it. So now my bench training philosophy is basically pick a lift you are terrible at that you think will have good carryover to bench, which this obviously has good carryover to bench, and get really freaking good at it, and then rotate it out after like 3 months. So now I'm doing incline, which I'm really terrible at relative to my flat bench. But this has 1-to-1 carryover to bench. This exercise, I hit around a 230 on this when I hit a 275 bench, and now I've hit a 240, so I'm 100% confident I could hit a 285 bench because the carryover is at least 1-to-1 here. And I failed another time on this, which usually doesn't happen. Now you've probably noticed I do curls, so bicep isolations on push day and tricep isolations on pull day. And I do this because I found I couldn't lift as heavy and couldn't push the intensity as much as I would like on doing triceps after my presses and doing biceps after my pulls. Not so much biceps, it's mainly for triceps. But I find this works a lot better. And you'll also see on these, I go to failure and then I cheat, which I do this on a lot of arm movements. I find it's super effective on arm movements to just fail and then keep going. It's like I get my biceps to fail and I get my brachialis to fail, and then by cheating I get my brachioradialis to fail, like my forearms to fail. And I find it just totally enhances hammer curls to cheat at the end and do more reps. Next I did dips, and dips are criminally underrated. I wish I had done them sooner. I see people doing them in the gym, but not too often. And I have 15 pounds around my waist here, if you're wondering what the weight is. And I did 3 sets, but I only reported 1. And they're just criminally underrated. It's like a really good cambered bar bench replacement if you don't have cambered bar bench. Because, I mean, look how deep I'm going. Like, the elbow angle is insane, and the chest stretch is insane. It's a really, really good movement. Speaking of criminally underrated movements, the behind the neck press. I've never seen anyone doing this but Theo and I in my college gym. And it was funny getting it up here. I think all the racks were taken, so I just cleaned it up. But this forces you to not be able to lean back in the same way as you can on an overhead press, and it distributes the weight more evenly between everywhere on your shoulder. As long as you work up to it, like don't start super heavy, it's a really great movement, and you'll probably find that your delts explode and your yoke explodes if you start doing this movement. And then to get it off, I just push pressed it over my head. And that's the end of my workout, other than some lateral raises. But Theo did other exercises because we're running slightly different splits. He did a 3x5 with 185 pounds on front squat. I think he got 4th on the 3rd set though. The other 2 were vertical, and I didn't feel like fitting them in on the screen. But it feels like recently discovered front squats, even though it probably wasn't that recent, and both really enjoy them because we're both reasonably tall and have a tendency to lean forward in back squats, so it let us just destroy our quads. And then this led to us discovering cleans, which we're still working on our form a little bit, and this is almost, it's so light we just pick it up so fast. Like as you could see there, that was not hard at all. And then obviously he did some lateral raises. Got to get the capped side delts. He's been enjoying the more momentum-y style, just allowing to get a lot of overload in the delts. Like, he's worked up to weights beyond 30 pounds, I'm confident. Yeah, and as we progress, we both do this. We definitely do a lot of partials on lateral raises because failure just doesn't feel like enough. But if you keep going and going, you can get a lot more stimulus out of the same set. And it's such a... You're not going to overdo it on lateral raises, especially if you're only doing them like twice a week. You're not going to be like, oh, this really was so fatiguing. Like, you can just hammer your delts. And then he did something diabolical, which is this 3 red plate weighted plank, and this isn't even the heaviest plank he's done. He gets freaky with it. All right, goodbye.